key to being a man is first living under the dominion, the sovereign rule, the ultimate authority of our God, okay? Before you can do anything, before you can be anyone, before you can affect any healthy, significant change, first thing is you need to be a man under authority. First thing, Paul says it this way, I'm not my own, I was bought with a price. You men needs to start thinking in terms of not what I want, but what does the Father want? Number two, as soon as we do that, once we are under dominion and we're good sons living under the Father's dominion, guess what we're ready for? Guess what we're ready for? Dominion. Once we're under his dominion, now we're ready to exercise our dominion. Okay, Father, I'm going to do what you say. Now I can lead a family. Now I could father a child. Now I can grow a company. Now I can do a ministry because I've been under authority. Now I am ready to be in authority. The worst thing that happens for a man, he's in authority, but he's not under authority. We've all met these guys. These are the guys. And there's two ways to fail as a man when it comes to dominion and authority. Number one, you can abuse your dominion and authority. This isn't in my notes, I just feel like I'm supposed to say it. Some of you struggle with dominion, leadership, headship, and authority because your dad abused his authority and his dominion. I can see it. I don't know why, I just see it. Some of you, your dad, he was bigger than you. And so he would bully and intimidate you. He would hit you. He would shove you. He was exercising his dominion, but he was doing it in an abusive way. For some of you, your dad was a big personality. He was very loud and very aggressive and maybe even scary and dangerous. And he had dominion, but he didn't have love in the Father heart of God. And he was exercising dominion, but guess what he wasn't doing? Living under God's dominion. What we're not talking about is men who are going to be just tough and they end up abusing their authority. And this is what we're seeing in our day. We're seeing where there is this effeminate culture, this emotional, spiritual, physical castration of men. We're seeing this woke, weak, progressive culture. What we're seeing is we're seeing a number of men who are saying, I am tired of not being honored and respected. Therefore, I am going to exercise my authority and dominion by being abusive. This would be like the Andrew Tates of the world. We're not talking about that. We're talking about being under dominion so that you learn how to be in dominion, being under authority so that then you're ready to be in authority. And then you're ready to treat your wife like your God treats you. You're ready to treat your kids like your God treats you. You're ready to treat your grandkids like your God treats you. And the way you treat them is still under his dominion. Father, I married your daughter. How do you want me to treat her? Father, you gave me children. We share a name called Father. How do you want me to treat these kids? Father, you sent your son to the earth and he worked a job and I got a job too. How do I work this job to the glory of God? The two ways that men fail and err, one, they abuse their dominion and authority, or two, they abandon it. Some of you men grew in that home. Your dad, he just left. You're like, he was supposed to, be the husband and the father and the protector and the provider. He was supposed to be the strong man in the house. He was supposed to be the king of this little castle, and he left. Or these are the men that sometimes they stay in the home, but they don't stay in the fight. They don't say anything. They don't do anything. And let me just say this. If you men don't exercise your dominion in a humble, loving, gracious, Christ-like way, if you don't exercise your dominion, someone else will. Someone else will. If you've got a teenage daughter and you don't exercise your dominion and authority, some boy is going to come into her life and he is going to definitely replace you. If you do not lead your family, then what will happen is usually the least healthy person in your immediate or extended family, they will nominate themselves to replace you. If you are not present, if you are not exercising authority, if you are not leading, guess what? The vacuum will be filled. And as I told you, who's the most likely person to fill the leadership vacuum? When there is a need for a leader, authority, dominion, but the man either abuses it or he abandons it, then who comes in to fill it? Satan every single time. Every single time. If we could just fix this one thing, that would fix everything. Poverty would go down. Out of wedlock childbirth would go down. Mental health, depression, suicidal ideation, trauma would go down. Generational wealth would go up. National debt would decline. The need for lots of support services for people who are being traumatized would be reduced. Drug and alcohol participation and abuse would be greatly diminished. If in every area that God has given a man dominion, if he just exercised that authority and that dominion, and all of those men exercised their dominion and authority and all the spheres that God has given them, the whole world would start to be healed. And here's what I'm telling you guys. Our culture is gone. It's not going away, it's gone. When you sexualize children, when you minimize men, when you create deception, when you create perversion, and you make it so that it is culturally acceptable and not just tolerated and celebrated, the culture is gone. And right now, all the forces at work in our world are simply trying to do this. They're trying to replace you. The school wants to replace you with your kids. Feminism wants to replace you with your wife. The government wants to replace you with services. The media wants to replace you with lies and platforms and false narratives. And I'm telling you this, man, you matter far more than you think you do. You have far more authority than you think you do. What God has called you to is far more important than you think it is. And if God has given you any sphere of dominion, the reason that he has placed you there is for those people in that place. You are desperately needed and completely irreplaceable.